First and foremost, welcome to our project launch, the official project launch. We've actually been working on this for quite some time, but this will be the public unveiling of the future site of a monument which we hope to be able to celebrate the contribution and the hard work of the men and women who design, build, operate, and maintain our wonderful submarines, and the families and the communities that support them. Although this will be the sail and the rudder of the USS Groton, and it will certainly be located here in Groton, the submarine capital of the world. It really is a tribute to all who wear dolphins, who design, build the submarines that the dolphin wearers operate, and the folks who maintain them from the shipyard in Hawaii to the shipyard in Maine. So we're about ready to unveil it here. Are we ready? Yeah, we're ready. Okay, let's unveil it. For your perspective, the sail will be further up and over to the left. We're standing out here. This project could not have got to this point without the strong support of local governments and the local communities that we've worked with already. We have a number of the local officials here today. Representative Joe Delacruz is hiding behind me with Representative Christine Conley, and oh, you're all back there. Okay. We also have Mayor Keith Hedrick, Mayor Juan Melendez, and Captain Ken Curtin from the submarine base. So we've asked that we have been asking them to give us support, and they've been wonderful in supporting us to date, and we're delighted that they are here. We also have a visitor from the other side of the river, Mayor Pissarro from New London. Good to have you here today, sir. Thank you. Everybody claps except during the football game, right? We'd like to have some of our invited government officials to say just a couple of words, but let me finish my remarks by saying thank you so very much for coming out here. We've come a very long way. We still have a long way to go, and some of the heavy lifting is ahead of us, but we are very optimistic that this vision of the future will become the future right here in the relative near term. So without further ado, let me introduce the commanding officer of the submarine base, Captain Ken Curtin.
All right, good afternoon, everybody, and wow, what a beautiful weather we got for this afternoon. It's an honor to be part of this community ceremony to kick off the Groton Sail Monument Project. I first came to Groton fresh out of high school and boot camp to attend submarine school myself back in 1986. I never dreamt that I would someday be the commanding officer of the first and finest submarine base in the world. 36 years later, I am proud to call Groton and the surrounding communities my home. And it is a pleasure to work with all of our community leaders to make Southeast Connecticut a better place to live. Groton is truly the submarine capital of the world. It is not just a marketing slogan. Since June of 1916, Subbase has continued the mission of sending combat-ready submarines down the Thames River and training the elite sailors who will operate those marvelous machines. Just a couple of weeks ago, I helped reopen the historic ship Nautilus after a 9-month maintenance period. The Navy keeps Nautilus as a historic ship and museum to tell the world our story the story of the submarine force, and that story begins right here in Groton. The Groton Sail will complement that story. It will honor the remarkable men and women who design, build, operate, and maintain our submarines, along with the families and citizens of the community who support them. At Subbase, we have a soft spot for USS Groton. The christening bow over is proudly displayed in the Submarine Force Museum. Our base phone numbers, they all begin with the digits 694, the whole number of the USS Groton, if you weren't aware. And even though it's roughly around 680 acres, I like to tell visitors that Subbase has 694 acres on it. Subbase has been home to the Groton Sail for over 7 years, and though I've enjoyed having it for safekeeping, I would much rather see it in its restored glory here for the community to see and not tucked away in my storage lot near the golf course. I thank you again for this opportunity to be here, and I look forward to the future milestones of the Groton Sail Monument Project. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Appreciate that, and appreciate the support you've been giving us and will continue to give us. Thank you very, very much. Oh, and by the way, that availability was talking about for the Nautilus, the Subbase team working with Electric Boat demonstrated just how very, very good it can be down on the waterfront. They got that job done under budget and ahead of schedule, and the ship is going to last for another 30 years here in Groton. Our next speaker is the Mayor of the City of Groton, Mayor Keith Hendrick. We very much appreciate your support and getting you here today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all for coming out today. This is a great day for Groton. It's a great day for the city of Groton. It's a great day for the town of Groton. So this is tremendous. I also want to thank Mike for coming over, because one of the things that we've talked about in the past is not letting the river be a divider, but letting it be a uniter. And that brings him, with Mike coming over, that helps with that. Thank you. Also, you may or may not know, there is a large building. It's a shipyard, South Yard Assembly building. It's called Building 600. It's being built now that will get a CO next year that will build Columbia-class submarines. And that is the Ohio replacement class for the Fleet Ballistic Missile submarines. And they will be building submarines that are 530 foot long and 43 feet at the beam. So that thing is going to be huge. But we will continue to build submarines in Groton and in at the base, continue to train people and staff the submarines there. So thank you all for coming out. This has been a long time coming. We've worked, the team, the committee has worked very hard in order to get this done. We've looked at several different sites. This is the final site, will be the final resting place. So thank you all for coming out.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The executive committee of our Groton Sail Foundation had the pleasure of briefing the government officials for the town of Groton about a week ago, and got a thumbs up with our progress report. And we mentioned that this was going to be on the event, one of our next events, and they were all very supportive. And we are most pleased to be able to have the mayor of the town of Groton, Mayor Juan Melendez, here to speak today. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a really great turnout, and it's to support a project that I think has a home here that is more appropriate than any other place in the whole world. Honestly, we're the submarine capital of the world, and I think with this project, along with our sign along I-95, will signal to the world that this is the place. Where we train submariners, where we build submarines, and this project is going to be here to celebrate that. And I just want to tell a brief story about my personal hero, He just happens to be my father, and I think his story is very appropriate for this occasion. He was born and raised in the Bronx, New York, born in 1965, raised there. And in 1984, he decided to join the Navy. That brought him all the way to Groton, Connecticut. Not too far of a way, but for him, he was in the middle of nowhere. He could have been on the other side of the world. But the way he tells the story, he didn't know anything until the day he joined the Navy. And he said he learned everything he needed to know aboard those ships. He made chief in 1998, and in 2001 he went on a 7-month deployment after the 9/11 attacks. A time which I remember fondly because it was a time of uncertainty. He wasn't supposed to be gone for 7 months, and it just seemed like they kept extending the tour over and over again. And that was just something that I remember from my childhood. He retired in 2006, Chief Petty Officer, and now he works at EB, where he's helping to build the Columbia-class submarines. So he's made a career of this, and that story is an extraordinary story. He's an extraordinary person who did extraordinary things. But in Groton, it's sort of typical. There's probably 20 people in this crowd today who have a similar story, or know someone with a similar story, who know someone just as extraordinary as my father. And I think that this monument will be a place where people can come who know someone who served aboard these ships, sacrificed for the country, can come and they can tell their stories. And we can just celebrate what they've done for this country, for the world, what they've done for our community. And I just couldn't be happier that this is going to come to fruition. So without that, I just want to thank the committee for all they do, the Admiral for all your due diligence in putting this together, and congratulations and good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next up, again, a strong supporter and in fact a member of our board, Representative Joe Dela Cruz.
Well, first I want to thank Marion Galbraith for reaching out to me and asking me to be a member. I've been a little busy with legislation the last few years, and I'm not going to run again. But I'm so happy to be part of a group that's going to actually bring a memorial like this to our community. And I got to think a lot about these last few weeks, what it's going to actually mean for Groton. I think we're such a small population in comparison to the rest of the world, and we call ourselves the capital of submarine, the submarine capital of the world. But it's not just that. When our government goes in to negotiate peace, hopefully, a lot of that has to do with the submarines that are underwater, with the men and women that serve on them, and definitely with this community. I think about, like Juan talked about his father, and I was actually, when Juan said his hero, I almost walked up to the podium, Juan. I didn't know who you're talking about. I'm kidding. I was his baseball coach, so I claim everything the kid ever did. But that's just an example of Juan as a person that I would have never met hadn't been for the Navy or submarine service. My grandfather came here in World War II because he joined the Navy. He served in the Navy and then ended up being at Newark down the street. Our community is unique because we support a lot of folks that come here from the Midwest, from out of nowhere, and when they land here, they're looking for doctors. They're looking for what's the best school, and that's part of our community. This is a memorial that's recognizing all of us. And for me, my last 30 years, one of the first jobs I ever worked on was a trainer. It's a firefighter trainer right on the Navy base, and I was just young, and I didn't realize the impact I was having up until today, where we build the nuclear propulsion room. We make a lot of trainers that end up right here. We're putting one in Hawaii in a couple months, and these sailors, these young men and women that are gonna be on these boats, they're gonna use our trainers, and we know that the training that they're gonna get is gonna allow them to be the best sailors on the safest, most powerful ships on the planet. And I just can't tell you how proud I am. I wish everyone could feel the pride that I feel. And I think when people walk up to this monument, they're gonna get to feel that pride. They're gonna have a chance to understand what it means to be part of this community, like I know so well, and like everybody standing here does. So thank you all for being here, and thank you for letting me be part of this committee.
Next up, Representative Christine Connolly.
Thank you. When we at the state did the land transfer so we could start this process, a lot of people don't know the story, but that was the first year that we had to have public hearings before land transfers. And of course, like most things with the state, we're getting to the end of session, we're almost ready to go. It's 1 or 2 in the morning, and guess what we didn't schedule? The public hearing for this land transfer. So at 1 o'clock in the morning, our colleagues, Democrats and Republicans, got together and said, how much is this committee going to be upset when we're calling them in at 8 a.m. to do this public hearing for this process? And so we all talked and said, come on, it's really good. This is going to really be amazing for our state and for our community to get the USS Groton here. And let's not have any delays on the land transfer part of it, because this group's got to raise some money to do the rest of the work. So let's do what we can do as quickly as possible. And all the members of the committee said, I know I'm tired, but I'll be there. We'll be there. We'll have a quorum. We'll get it done. So 8 a.m. we show up with members of the Groton Sail, with Senator Summers was there, I was there, and we did our quick public hearing and then did another 14 hours of debates on bills right after. But an unanimous result so that we could make sure that we can have this sail. And the one thing that I love doing when we get invited to the base for the commissionings is the reps and senators, a lot of them gather at my house because it's right around the corner and we can save cars. We know, Chief, you don't want all of our cars on your base. We go through, and as we get driven on base, we go, remember, this is the USS Groton. Remember, we all got up early that day. And soon, it's going to be painted. It's going to be put right by the library. It's going to be beautiful, and everyone's going to be able to come and see the great work that our sailors have done, the great work that people have done to build these immense machines and devices, and the great work that everyone who served on them do. So we're one step further, and I can't wait to see the finished project. Good work, everyone.
And finally, the aforementioned, Senator Melody Summers.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Heather Summers, and I am really excited. It's okay to be here today. I remember when this idea first came to the council a long time ago when I was the council. I was like, where's Jim Streeter? It was Jim Streeter's idea, and we all choked when the cost was like $1 billion to bring it from Seattle here. Do you remember that? So it was up to him to figure out how to bring you all together, and you all did an amazing job in this committee, really persevering. I remember that public hearing. Just so you know, I think it is the quickest public hearing in Connecticut state history, which is really nice because some of our hearings go 24 hours. So that was like, what, were you in and out in 10 minutes? 10 minutes. It was awesome. So great job. Thank you for getting up so early. And you know, I have not been in the military. I did work for General Dynamics for years. I was in charge, believe it or not, of negotiating the Arctic blow valve and different things on that ship that I learned a lot being there for as long as I was. And my father spent his career aside the military as a civilian on submarines that were never commissioned. So I have a true appreciation for the military and military service. We were always a house full of admirals and Navy chiefs, and I couldn't be more excited. I wanted to just share with you, I was at an event in the city of Groton with the mayor, Keith Hedrick. It was the city brew run. And some of the volunteers there I had seen, they looked very familiar. They were all from the sub base, and they're volunteering with our chambers now. They're getting more integrated into our community. And the one young woman that I spoke to who works at the clinic on the base said to me, you know, when we came here, there was nothing to do. We really didn't like Groton. you know, if you don't have a car, you can't get anywhere. But now we're starting to become part of the community, and we love it here. I want to stay here for my next 4 years. I'd love to remain in this clinic. I've gotten to see more of Groton, and we talked a little bit about the monument and how suiting for our community of military to show that this community is not, quote, rotten Groton. We are awesome Groton, and we are the submarine capital of the world, and we want to thank you for your service. We want to thank people that have been in the service. We want you to come back here with your families, and we want you to know that we honor you and we honor your service. So I want to say congratulations, well done. I can't wait to see the finished product, and it's a happy day. Thank you.
My apologies to the senator. If this had been a Navy event, the public affairs officer would have stepped in and said, what the Admiral meant to say was Heather. So I very much apologize. We also, before we break up here, what was mentioned about the quality of the town, and we did some videos of some folks, and one of the things that kept recurring was about the quality of the schools and about how the schools were reaching out to help. And it's a tough thing being a Navy kid in the 4th grade, moving from Hawaii to Connecticut. And all of a sudden, your school looks different, and you have to wear a coat. Can you believe it? And so one of the key ingredients to having a successful transition is a well-run town and a well-run school district. And we've got the town manager back there and the school superintendent right here. Thank you both for the work you do. So with that, thank you very much for coming today. We have some cards we'll be handing out just to give you some information if you'd like. They're small, and you can take that along. But we look forward to good progress here, and we look forward to seeing you again when we cut the ribbon to open up the monument. Thank you.